Hi, Andrea. I'm Paige, a social worker here. Thanks for meeting with me today. I understand you've been referred here because you've been experiencing some symptoms of depression, some pretty heavy thoughts and emotions. And before we get started, I want to make sure that you know my role is just to listen without judgment and understand from your perspective, like what's been going on and work with you to make sure that you can stay safe.
Yeah.
Everything that we talk about here is private unless I believe you might harm yourself or someone else. So that's really one of the only exceptions to our conversation not being confidential. So if there is a concern that you might harm yourself, then it's my responsibility to connect you with the help you might need right now. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you. I appreciate you understanding, and I know these conversations aren't easy. And also, before we get going, just so you know, I'll be taking some notes throughout this session, so I may pause from time to time. So that's just me kind of processing along the way. And is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So before we move into any structured questions, I'd like to hear about things in your own words. So could you tell me a little bit about just what's been going on for you lately and what brought you in today?
Um, I guess I've just been really struggling with doing school on top of family stuff and then just doing work, and it all just feels really overwhelming. Um, yeah, it just feels like a lot right now and just too much.
Okay. Um, when you say it's been overwhelming and too much, you named a few specific things like work and some responsibilities that you might have in your life right now. But could you tell me a little bit more about what, like, tired of it all or like what that means for you exactly?
Um, I guess it's just like really hard from day to day to want to get out of bed and like do everything that I have to do. And I just feel like it would be easier if I didn't have to do any of those things.
Have you been experiencing a lot of fatigue, would you say then, just feeling tired or like just more like you need more sleep, or is it more of a feeling of just not motivated, like you just can't bring yourself to do some things?
I think it's both. Like I just feel tired all the time, and it is like hard to get motivated to get out of bed, but also like when I do come home, I just want to sleep.
Right. Okay. And have you ever seen a therapist or met with a counselor before?
Like once or twice, but not for very long.
Okay. So it's something that you've tried and been open to in the past, but it just didn't really like it wasn't a good fit long term at the time, maybe.
Yeah.
Um, and before I continue, like just to remind you, this is just an initial assessment. This is not like a formal counseling or therapy session. Should we come to the end of our meeting today and think that that might be a helpful support for you, we can explore therapy as an option. But this is just an assessment. Um, yeah, we can talk about that later if that's something you want to explore again.
Yeah.
And okay, and if you had to describe what's brought you here to a friend today, what would you say to them?
I would say that I just I don't really feel motivated to go on at all.
And what do you mean motivated to go on? What does that mean for you?
I guess I just don't really have a lot of hope for the future, and
Okay.
there's not really a whole lot that I'm looking forward to,
Okay.
and I don't feel like I would really miss anything.
Okay. Um, when you had mentioned earlier some of the things that have been causing you a lot of stress or a lot of um, strong emotions in your life right now, you had mentioned work and, family responsibilities, school responsibilities. So that's a lot going on all at once. Completely makes sense that you would be feeling overwhelmed right now. I wonder when you say you don't feel hopeful for the future or it's hard for you right now to picture what a future could be, like what do some of those things that you have going on in your life right now, like school and work, like what do you think about, do you ever think about like a future for that or like what are your like thoughts around some of those commitments you have right now?
Yeah, I am in school because I want to be a teacher, so I think about that sometimes.
Okay.
But then I think like it's just going to be just as stressful, and I don't know if it's going to feel any easier than it is right now.
Okay. So, a big part of it is even though it's something that you feel like you could see for yourself in the future, it's so overwhelming right now that it's like how it's hard to see like how you could do the actual job. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you do for work right now?
At a daycare.
Work at a daycare, and
Mm.
how do you what do you think of your job there and your role there?
Um, I'm full-time there and full-time student, so it's really exhausting. I like being with the kids, but it's also just like kind of the same thing every day, and I come home just exhausted.
Okay. So, yeah, working with kids can definitely be exhausting. I can understand how that's a job where you just come home at the end of the day, like I just am spent, don't have time or energy for
Mhm.
anything else. So that makes sense. Um, do you, how do you connect with some of your colleagues or some of the other staff at the daycare? Do you feel like you have any connections there? Do you get along with people there?
Yeah, there's like a couple people that we talk throughout the day. I feel like sometimes it's stressful being around some of my other coworkers. Like I feel like they expect a lot out of me.
Okay. So maybe like some pressure there or
Mhm.
okay. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Um, I guess I feel more of like a personal responsibility to like always do everything right and to always be on top of it, which is just really hard when there's a lot of kids in the classroom.
Okay. Okay. And that has to feel like a lot of just pressure, like the job itself, besides just pressure to, have these expectations on you by other people, but just the role itself has to feel like you're taking care of other people's kids. Like that's a lot of pressure on its own. Is that kind of
Hmm.
responsibility? Would you say that kind of reflects some of what you're experiencing?
Yeah.
Um, but you said you do like enjoy connecting with the kids other than just how tired it makes you feel at the end of the day. Like, do you
Yeah, I do.
feel value in those or meaning in those interactions with them?
Yeah.
Okay, good, good. Well, that definitely helps. Like sometimes the day-to-day work of just going to work, getting through life, getting through all of the things can just feel like too much. And even in a job that we like,
Hmm.
it's hard to hang on to some of those moments that, make it feel like it's worth it. And but if you've been feeling like this for a while, I can understand how it's easy to lose sight of some of that a little bit. Um,
Hmm.
And so couple more questions here before we go into some more structured questions. Sometimes our background or life experiences can shape how we think about problems. Are there things about your family or your beliefs or identity that you feel like might affect or like maybe have an influence on what you've been experiencing lately?
I think growing up with a family that both my older sisters, like one has achieved their master's and the other one has achieved their doctorate, like I feel like the sense of pressure that like I have to follow in that footsteps. And
Mm,
so I think that's just like a value my family's had in education
okay.
is to just like push through and get it done and like be high achieving.
Okay. It sounds like having a an education and a meaningful career and just
Hmm.
some of these, what we often consider to be like symbols of success are really important and like foundational in your family. It sounds like those
Hmm.
are values.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, and how do you, is that something that you felt or sensed or had an awareness of, like that being a value in your family, like from a young age, or is that something that kind of came in, like you started to notice a little bit later in life? Like,
Yeah. I didn't really like, I guess, have the words for it or like really the acknowledgement for it. But from like a very young age, I was very stressed about my grades and always performing really well. I remember when I was younger being really obsessed with my grades.
mhm. Okay. And then what would happen when you felt like you were achieving a lot or you felt like you were meeting these expectations that whether they were expectations you put on yourself or other or expectations that you feel like others maybe placed on you. How did it feel like when you were getting good grades or grades that you felt like were acceptable or made you feel satisfied with the result?
I think just relieved.
Relieved?
Yeah.
Okay. And what about if you didn't do well on a test or something like that, or didn't feel prepared?
Feel really sick.
Okay. How have your grades been in school lately?
Um, Pretty good. Not like where I want to be, but they've been okay.
Okay. And what does okay mean to you? What, do you mind sharing a little bit about how you've been doing more specifically in school? Like, what do you think is a good grade versus something that like makes you feel like, ah, that's I could do better than that. Give you that kind of feeling.
I've never got a B, and right now I'm at an A minus
Okay.
for my class, one of my classes, and I feel like I really just need to get that up to an A to like feel okay.
Okay. Yeah. So really wanting to just perform at like the highest level is something that's
Hmm.
really important to you to just get as much a highest score as you can.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, Andrea, you mentioned that today you are here because you've been referred for having some really deep and heavy thoughts and emotions that you've been experiencing, and maybe some um, feelings of not wanting to live anymore, just feeling like you're just not able to go on. And, it does sound like you're really the things that you're trying to manage and juggle right now in your life is really affecting you in a way that's making it challenging for you to function in a way that feels good to you. So that sounds really painful. And do you feel, did I get that right? Does it sound like I'm kind of summarizing where you're at right now? Okay. So from here to get a clear picture of how you've been feeling, I'd like to go through a short questionnaire that's 9 questions. It asks about symptoms of depression over the last 2 weeks. I'll read each item and you can tell me not at all, several days, more than half the days, or nearly every day. So that's a 0 to 3 scale. So yeah, 0, not at all, 3, nearly every day. So um, for each question, if you could just tell me if that's something you've been experiencing, then we'll go from there and see if we need to go any deeper from there. Okay? Okay. So, over the last 2 weeks, how often have you had little interest or pleasure in doing things? Not at all, several days, more than half the days, or nearly every day?
Probably every day.
Okay. How about feeling down, depressed, or hopeless?
Probably every day.
Trouble falling asleep or staying asleep or sleeping too much? I feel like you had mentioned that you just are feeling really tired and maybe sleeping too much. How often has that been going on?
Probably every day.
Okay. And then, yeah, the next one is similar, feeling tired or having little energy. That's still nearly every day. I'd say that's, yeah. Okay. Poor appetite or overeating.
Mm, I'd say probably like a two, like several days.
Okay. Um, and then feeling bad about yourself or that you are a failure or have let yourself or your family down.
Every day.
Trouble concentrating on things such as reading the newspaper, watching television, or I guess, your homework, your studies in this case.
Yeah, every day.
Right. Moving or speaking so slowly that other people have noticed, or the opposite, being fidgety and restless more than usual. Has anything like that been going on for you?
Um, I guess I am like really fidgety.
Okay.
Um, it's probably more than half, I'd say.
Okay. Um, and then thoughts that you would be better off dead or hurting yourself in some way.
Um, Probably more than half the days.
Okay. Okay. Um, all right. So thanks for being open with me, because I know that these are some really heavy topics to talk about, or things that we're maybe not used to sharing with someone that we've never met before. But I really appreciate you being willing to be vulnerable and share some things with me. Because you've had some thoughts about being better off dead or hurting yourself, I'd like to follow up with some more specific questions that will help me understand the details and your safety right now. And this next part is called the Columbia Suicide Assessment. So I just want, like I said, these are a little bit more in depth, they're more direct. And I just want you to answer as honestly as um, just, yeah, just want to get a clearer picture of where you're at right now. I feel like it might be useful because of some of the other symptoms you've described to maybe do an assessment on anxiety at some point, but because of some of the more concerning symptoms. I'm going to start with this first one, just to get a clearer picture of that first. Okay. Um, okay. So okay, sorry. Have you wished that you were dead or could go to sleep and not wake up? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Yeah. And when did that last happen? And what was going on at the time?
Um, Probably last night. I just thought that I didn't really want to do another day and that I wished that I just wouldn't wake up at all.
Okay. Um, have you actually had thoughts of killing yourself? And this could be like not necessarily anything specific, but just thought of, you know, methods or intentions to follow through on it.
Um, yeah, I guess a little bit.
Okay. How often do those thoughts come up?
Um, Probably like every other day.
Okay. And how long do they usually last?
Um, like on and off probably for a few hours.
Okay. And have you thought about how you might do it? Like what method you might use or feels possible to you?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Um, I think just like sometimes when I see like my pill bottles in the morning, I think that would be the best way to do it.
Okay. So, your pill bottle, are you currently taking medications right now?
I'm not taking medications, but my family has some. I don't know
Okay.
what it is, but I feel like it would be the way I would try.
Okay. So it's prescriptions that a family member has close by
Hmm.
or that lives in the house with you.
Yeah.
Okay. When you've had these thoughts, do you think you might actually act on them?
Hmm. Yeah.
Okay. And when you do think about potentially acting on some of these thoughts, what stops you? Like what makes you not follow through?
I just think about like getting more behind in school or like the responsibility somebody else would have to take on.
Okay. So thinking about like what the how that might affect others
Yeah.
after. Okay. Have you made any specific plans? Like I know you had mentioned pills being a possibility, but have you thought more specifically, like when or where?
No.
Okay. All right. And then have you ever, now I just want you to kind of think about some of your history and some of your like times that you've maybe experienced depression symptoms before. Have you ever tried to harm yourself before, even if you didn't get hurt?
No.
Okay. Have you ever engaged in any type of like self-harming behaviors, even without the intention to follow through and killing yourself?
No.
Okay. Okay. So this is like a new feeling that's coming up for you, like more intense than you've experienced when you've gone through like any other period of a lot of overwhelm in your life. Okay. All right. Um, and okay. Well, again, thank you for being so open and sharing with me and answering those questions. I know that those can be really direct and feel like a lot sometimes. Based on what you've told me about, some of it sounds like you're having like some really intrusive thoughts or some really overwhelming thoughts about just feeling like you wish you weren't here anymore, or it's just like the things that you have going on or the pressure that you're experiencing just feels like too much and it would be better to not live anymore. And since that you also mentioned being in an environment or living in a home right now where you have easy access to possible methods for committing suicide, I those are some concerns I just want to talk about a little bit more because that does make me concerned for your safety, and I'd like us to make a plan together so you know exactly what to do if these thoughts get stronger. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll build this step by step. The goal is to have something that you can use right away when you start feeling unsafe. Um, so, okay. So for the first step, let's talk about some warning signs for when you start noticing these feelings. So what are the first signs that tell you that these thoughts are coming? So these could be like just emotions or physical sensations or maybe even like a specific situation you're finding yourself in.
Um, I think like situations where I'm like trying to fall asleep or like when I get up in the morning, I feel like kind of shaky.
Okay.
Um, and that's when like the thoughts kind of start coming in, or I just kind of zone out.
Okay. So when you're trying to fall asleep are the overwhelming thoughts what are the thing that's like keeping you awake?
Yeah.
And then when you wake up and you say you're feeling shaky, like is that because of thoughts that you're waking up with, or is that just something that's happening? How can you tell
I
me a
don't,
little bit more about the morning?
yeah, I don't know if it's like my thoughts cause me to be shaky or if I'm like, I don't know. I think it's probably the thoughts and then I get like kind of
Mm.
shaky about it.
So it's like you wake up and you just start feeling shaky, or like you start thinking and you start feeling shaky, or is
Yeah.
it, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Um, what about when you are doing your work, like actually working on homework or assignments for school?
Um, yeah, it's like hard to concentrate.
Okay. Um, all right, yeah, that's really important to notice, like feeling anxious, difficulty concentrating. It's important to notice that early. So when you first notice these warning signs, what can you do on your own that might help you ride it out for even like 20 minutes? So some people like listen to music or take a walk or write, like what works for you?
I like to take walks. Like, I think sometimes that calms when I feel like a little shaky,
Okay.
like some movement.
Okay. And all right, so yeah, walking is a great release, so we can list that. And um who can you spend? So, like, yeah, if we're thinking about people or places for distraction, like, who can you spend time with, or where can you go that feels safe, even if you're not ready to talk about suicide? Like, if you don't want to tell them, like, where's a place that you can go that where you just feel safe being there?
Um, I feel safe like just being with my mom.
Okay. And do you live with your mom, or is she close
Yeah.
by? Okay, so being with your mom at home. Okay. Um, And when you do feel like you need to talk, who could you say that to directly? Like, who is someone in your life where you could say, I'm not safe right now?
I think I could talk to my mom about that.
Okay. Okay, good. That's great that you live with her and that she's accessible right away if you need to talk to her. Okay, so yeah, let's write that down. And then next, I want you to have quick access to professional support if we're going to continue to work together in more of an outpatient setting. So before we finalize like some next action steps or a plan, I want you to have quick access to professional support. So I'm going to provide you with a pamphlet with a few numbers. So that'll have um, a like emergency line, a crisis team line, and they'll also have like some different options for therapists if you want to go ahead and make an appointment with a therapist right away, but we can get more into those type of details at another time. So, okay. So one way to keep you safe is to make it more difficult for you to act on these thoughts. So are there any, I know we talked about pills that you have easy access to. So is there a way that we can lock that up or make sure that you don't have access to that anymore so that
Yeah.
that's not easy? Okay. Would you be able to talk to your mom to let her know that this is, you've been feeling this way and maybe it would be good for her just to keep that away?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, good. I'm glad that you have her in your life and you're able to be so open with her. That's a really important relationship to have. Um, okay, so before we set up a next time to meet and connect on a more thorough, detailed plan, specifically when it comes to these thoughts that you've been experiencing, I want to walk through a scenario. So let's say that it's 11 p.m., you're alone, and the thoughts are strong of harming yourself or committing suicide. What's the first thing that you do from some of the action items we discussed?
Um, I could probably talk to my mom or walk on the treadmill.
Okay. All right. So talk to your mom, walk on the treadmill. Yeah, definitely going for a walk. Do you live in a neighborhood or like live near a park where you might like to get into nature and walk just to be outside a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So yeah, maybe we can make a note of that. Just go on the treadmill if you don't want to leave the house. But if you're feeling like, yeah, it's a beautiful day, I want to get some air, we can go up, do a walk outside. And if you felt like you needed to talk to your mom, what do you think would be a good way to initiate that conversation? What's the first thing that you would say just to open the door for that?
Um, I think I would tell her I'm not really feeling like myself.
Okay. Okay. If you're in a crisis moment where you're feeling like this isn't who I am, I need to talk to someone right away. Okay. Um, Even before getting to that point, do you feel like when you get home, you can talk to your mom right away about making sure that you don't have access to her medications anymore?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah, that would be good to start there. And then I can, if it's all right with you, follow up with you tomorrow to make sure that you were able to have that conversation with her. Um, and then we can just kind of continue to check in on a regular basis in an outpatient setting and see how you're feeling day to day and see if there's any other interventions that might be necessary at this time. So is that
Mhm.
okay just to do a daily check-in with you at home with your mom for now? And then we can, as we keep talking, put more supports in place for you.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, great. Well, Andrea, thank you for being so open and sharing so much personal information with me, trusting others to support you as you navigate this painful phase of your life is significant and important step. And I feel like we have a plan just to start off with some action steps to take when you're starting to feel unsafe. And Like I said, we'll follow up tomorrow and continue to come up with a more formal, more detailed plan from there. And in the meantime, you can reach out if you feel like you need more immediate assistance with some of the crisis lines on that pamphlet I'm giving you. So, how are you feeling right now after talking through all that?
Okay, it's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of information, a lot of questions just in a first meeting. So I appreciate you bearing with me through all of that. But well, we're gonna get through this together and we're gonna come up with a way to work through some of these things that you've been going through. Okay. All right. Thank you for meeting with me today.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.